The man standing in front takes out 2 large drums of petrol from his car and slowly goes near the building's guards and says that today he is going to set this entire building on fire. The guards think that this man is crazy. They tell him to leave from there and threaten him that if he does not go, they will beat him and throw him out. But the man remains completely calm. He slowly puts the petrol drums down, and in the very next moment, in just a few seconds, he throws both the guards to the ground. Not only that, he also opens their pistols in the blink of an eye and breaks them into different parts. After this, he picks up the petrol drums and goes straight inside the building. Seeing the scene inside, it becomes clear that this is not an ordinary office but a hub of online fraud and cyber scam, where dozens of people are sitting on computers and cheating people. The man stands in the middle of everyone and tells everyone to repeat something with him. But the people present there do not take him seriously at all. Some people even start making fun of him and start laughing loudly. Seeing this, the man silences a nearby employee in a very strict manner. The very next moment, the entire office becomes silent. All the people freeze in their places out of fear. Now the man had decided that he will burn this entire scam center to the ground. While talking, he starts sprinkling petrol on the computers. Then the employees realize that this is not a joke and all the people start running towards the exit in panic. But then the office manager arrives there with some dangerous goons. He asks angrily what exactly does this man want to do. Because this place was earning millions of rupees every minute. That is why he could not see it being destroyed in front of his eyes. So he immediately orders his goons to attack that man. But the surprising thing was that the man, that is, the beekeeper, did not take those goons seriously at all. He kicks a chair hard and it hits a guard directly. After this, he picks up the office items lying nearby and beats all the goons badly one by one. In just a few seconds, all the goons are lying on the ground writhing in pain. Meanwhile, the manager starts trembling with fear. But the beekeeper does not kill him immediately. Instead, he sticks 2 bombs on the petrol drums and connects the room's telephone line to those bombs. Then he tells the manager that if any more victims call comes here now, this entire building will turn to ashes and you will see everything being destroyed with your own eyes. Saying this, he leaves from there. The manager also does not stop for a moment out of fear and runs out of the office in panic. But the question is, why did this man become so ruthless? Why does he hate these scammers so much? We find the answer to this in the events of 2 days ago. After retirement, James used to live alone in a small farmhouse away from the city. He used to take care of his bees every day and was living a peaceful, simple life. The owner of his house was a retired teacher. She was a very kind and noble-hearted woman. She never asked too many questions about James's past and often used to invite him to her house for meals. For the first time in many years, James had felt a sense of belonging like a family. But today their peaceful life was about to suddenly break. One day, while the elderly woman was checking her accounts, a red warning appeared on the computer screen. It was written that a dangerous virus had entered her computer and if she did not immediately call the number given on the screen, all her data would be permanently erased. The elderly woman living alone did not have much knowledge of these things. She was afraid that her important documents might really get lost. So without thinking anything, she dialed that number. But on the other side of the phone, there was not any technical support but a manager of a cyber fraud company sitting. This company specifically targeted elderly people. The manager pretends to be an experienced tech expert and tells the woman that she needs to download a special antivirus software. But in reality, that software was not software but a trap to remotely control her computer. When the manager saw her bank account information, his eyes popped out. There was more than 2 crore in savings in that account. For him, it was nothing less than a treasure. Then he started playing one trick after another and slowly trapped the elderly woman in his web. The woman did not suspect anything at all. She kept following every instruction he gave and finally ended up giving him her very important bank password. At that very moment, the computer screen suddenly goes black. A few seconds later, when the system starts again, the ground slips from under the elderly woman's feet. There was not a single rupee left in her bank account. Her entire life's savings had disappeared in a moment. Meanwhile, there was celebration going on in the scam company's office. Employees were congratulating each other because they had looted another person. Meanwhile, the elderly woman's phone starts getting constant fraud alerts and bank messages. But now it was too late. This money was not just her savings. It also included money for children's charity, which was her responsibility. As soon as she realizes that the children's money has also gone because of her, she completely breaks down. At night, James arrives happily at her house for dinner with the honey he had made with his own hands. But even after knocking on the door for a long time, there is no answer from inside. Looking through the window, he sees the house lights on. From here, James starts feeling that something is wrong. He slowly opens the door and goes inside, and seeing the scene there, he is shocked. He had not even come out of this shock when suddenly a woman's voice comes from behind him. Pointing a gun, she orders him to raise his hands and kneel down. This woman was none other than the elderly woman's daughter, Milia. She had just returned home and was broken after seeing her mother in this condition. Seeing an unknown man in the house, the first suspicion fell on James. The surprising thing was that Milia worked in the FBI. James tries to explain the whole matter to her. But Milia, drowned in the grief of losing her mother, is not ready to listen to even a single word of his. She wanted to take James to the police station and interrogate him. That same night, when Milia is looking through her mother's things, she finds out that all the money from her bank account has disappeared. Then she understands that her mother was not a victim of an accident but of a ruthless online scam. But after investigation, James is released because his fingerprints were not found on the gun. Then Milia realizes that she had suspected James for no reason. The next day, she goes to meet him and apologizes sincerely. During the conversation, she tells him a bitter truth. Her mother had taken her own life only after falling victim to online fraud. Milia tells that this gang specifically targets elderly people. Many such cases have come to light before. But these people are so clever that they keep their hideout hidden. Even the FBI cannot easily reach them. Hearing this, James gets up without saying anything and leaves from there. He also takes along that bottle of honey which he could never give to the elderly woman. After this, he reaches his bee farm. He opens a hive and very carefully takes out a box hidden inside it. Inside the box was a satellite phone. It seemed as if he had not even touched this phone for many years. As soon as he gets the phone, the person on the other side is surprised to hear his voice because James was not an ordinary man. He had been away from this world for many years. James tells him only one thing. I need the location of that scam gang. The most surprising thing was that for the work in which even the FBI had failed, the person on the other side immediately says yes, and within just a few minutes, the complete information reaches James. He finds out that this gang is very big and its hideouts are spread across different countries of the world. Like a spider's web, that person gave James the address of one of their nearest hideouts. Hearing this, James sits in his pickup truck and quickly sets off towards that company's building. From here, the story returns to the same scene where James had come to set that scam center on fire. Meanwhile, as soon as the building is destroyed, the manager panics and informs his real boss. The main office of this entire scam network was in Boston and its owner was a spoiled rich man's son, Owen. As soon as he finds out that his $28 million building has been destroyed, his face turns red with anger. He immediately gives the manager full access to the server and says, extract all the data from the last few days. I need that man's identity at any cost and finish this trouble as soon as possible. Meanwhile, James had returned to his farm. He was calmly taking care of his beehives like before. But soon the manager and his men arrive there. The manager recognizes James as soon as he sees him because this was the same man who had turned his multi-million-dollar building into ashes. The manager arrives at James's bee farm to take revenge. He says angrily that this man destroyed my building. Now I will destroy everything of his. After which he and his men take out their weapons and start raining bullets on all of James's hives. Within moments, thousands of bees start flying around in panic. The hives that James had been taking care of for years are destroyed in front of his eyes. But they did not know that James had already received news of their arrival and he had prepared completely for this fight. Meanwhile, the manager and his men were still lost in their arrogance. They enter the warehouse with pistols in hand. As if James is already their prey. They slowly start searching all around. Then a shadow quickly passes in front of their eyes. They panic and start firing bullets indiscriminately in front. Then they move forward cautiously. During this, one goon starts looking here and there, and the very next moment, James suddenly appears behind him. He wraps an iron chain around his neck at lightning speed. There was no anger on his face. He was completely calm and extremely dangerous. After which the second goon turns towards him. James snatches his shotgun and uses it to control him. Due to the hard impact, several of his teeth even break. The third man also cannot escape. James catches him in one stroke. The people who considered themselves hunters just a few seconds ago are now lying on the ground one by one. Now only the manager was left there. The man who was acting like a lion a little while ago is now trembling with fear. He starts firing bullets everywhere in panic. But then James comes and stands behind him without making a sound. He says nothing. He just grabs his hand and takes him in front of a running machine. The manager screams in pain. But the surprising thing was that James does not kill him. He puts him in a truck and himself takes his bag and leaves from there. The manager, who is left alive, reaches a bridge while driving the truck in panic. He immediately calls his boss Owen. Owen thinks that the work is done and James must have been killed. But from the other side, he finds out that all his men have been eliminated. Hearing this, Owen is shocked. He cannot understand how an ordinary-looking village man can be so dangerous. The manager has not even finished telling the whole thing when suddenly James appears in front of him again. He pulls him out of the truck and ties him tightly with a rope. Then it is revealed that all this was James's pre-planned strategy. After this, he sits in the truck and opens his bag. Inside it was his beekeeping protective suit. James touches it with his hands for the last time, as if he is saying goodbye to his old peaceful life. Then he slowly releases the truck's handbrake. The very next moment, the truck starts moving at high speed towards the edge of the bridge. Owen on the phone suddenly hears the manager's terrifying screams, and at that very moment, he realizes that now behind him is not an ordinary man but a hunter who is not going to stop. From this moment, James's new target was decided. Now he wanted to reach directly that person who was the real owner of this entire scam network. Owen on the phone was trying to show himself very powerful, but deep down he was scared. He immediately reaches his company's security advisor, Ruben. Ruben had previously been the director of the CIA. He was specifically hired by Owen's mother for her son's security. As soon as Ruben heard the name of the beekeeper, his face became serious. Until now, no matter how much trouble Owen had been in, Ruben had saved him every time. But this time the matter was completely different. He clearly tells Owen, "This time perhaps even your life may not be saved." After this, Ruben reveals a big secret. According to him, the country is considered like a beehive, and to protect this hive, a highly secret organization was created which was not under any government department. The members of that organization were called beekeepers. Their job was to silently eliminate people who become a threat to the country and maintain the balance of the hive. They were given the special right to take action first and give a report later. And James had been a veteran and dangerous member of this secret organization. Even after hearing this, Owen does not believe it. He thinks Ruben is exaggerating. He says laughing, "I also want to see what this beekeeper can actually do." After some time, Ruben receives a call from Owen's mother. This woman was so powerful that just by hearing one thing from her, Ruben changes his decision. He promises to save Owen at any cost. Immediately after this, Ruben contacts the current CIA director. But as soon as the director finds out that the person on the other side is a retired beekeeper, his face turns pale. After full investigation, they find out that Owen has picked a fight with the wrong man. Finally, the CIA director makes a plan. He decides that to deal with this danger, a current beekeeper will be sent. They hoped that perhaps one beekeeper could stop another beekeeper. Meanwhile, James was filling fuel in his car at a petrol pump. In his hand was a jar of honey. Seeing it, he starts remembering the elderly woman. Then suddenly a pickup truck stops in front of him at high speed. A mysterious woman wearing purple and golden-colored clothes gets out of it. In her hand was a modified rifle and her eyes were fixed directly on James. As soon as she arrived, she started raining bullets indiscriminately on James's car. In reality, she was a new beekeeper. She had been ordered to stop James at any cost. Hearing the sound of bullets, a police car nearby reaches there. But the woman does not think for a moment. She also fires at the police car. In just a few seconds, the innocent policemen fall to the ground. Then James comes in front. Now face to face were an old beekeeper and a new beekeeper. A dangerous fight begins between the two. The new beekeeper had heavy weapons, but she did not have the experience like James. James hits a powerful side kick and she falls far away. By the time she gets up and takes out her weapon again, James had disappeared. Seeing this, she becomes furious. She opens the roof of her car and from inside comes out a very dangerous machine gun. This weapon could fire dozens of bullets every second. She starts indiscriminate firing on the entire petrol pump. Her only motive was to kill James at any cost. Then James takes out the honey bottle from his car and throws it towards her with full force. The bottle hits her directly on the face. Before she can even gather herself for a moment, James lights a lighter and throws it towards her car. The very next moment, a terrible blast occurs. Flames engulf the entire car. The new beekeeper starts screaming. But now it was too late. Within moments, she is burnt alive in the fire. James leaves from there without showing any emotion. But before leaving, he cuts off her thumb because he knew that it would be useful later. Meanwhile, Ruben receives a call from the CIA director. He finds out that the mission has completely failed. Now the responsibility of stopping James was only on his shoulders. Seeing no other way, Ruben hires a special team. This team included former commandos from Delta Force and Navy SEALs. These were all soldiers trained for dangerous missions. And now these people were going to be Owen's last line of defense. Meanwhile, James reaches a secret hideout. With the help of the new beekeeper's thumb, he opens the security door there. In reality, this was a secret base of the beekeepers. James logs into the system there and with the help of the information obtained from the manager's phone, he finds out the complete address of the scam company's main office. After this, he takes the weapons and necessary items kept there with him. Now his next stop was the real headquarters of that scam empire located in Boston. That same tall building standing in the middle of the city from where multi-million-dollar online fraud was being run, and inside that same building sat Owen. But he still had no idea that James had now reached his doorstep. Outside that tall building, heavy security was deployed. Special Forces soldiers were deployed all around and their only mission was to not let James enter inside at any cost. Meanwhile, the security inside the building was being handled by Ruben's team. Everyone knew that they were not going to face an ordinary person but James, that is, the beekeeper. The Special Forces commander was giving instructions to his team when a man wearing a baseball cap slowly approaches them. The commander thinks of him as an ordinary civilian and tells him to leave from there. But that man says something in a calm voice. As soon as the commander gets suspicious, it is already too late because that man was none other than James. The very next moment, he attacks at lightning speed. In just a few seconds, all the guards are lying on the ground. James takes a soldier hostage and enters the building. Meanwhile, in the lobby, Ruben's team was preparing to evacuate all the employees. But the company's manager opposes this because this scam center was earning millions every minute. Not only that, Owen also orders that no one should interfere in their work. The Special Forces captain was angry but was forced to step back. After this, the scam company's employees start clapping with joy. They think the danger has passed. But no one noticed that James had quietly entered the crowd. He was also clapping and smiling with everyone. Then an employee's eyes fall on a poster kept on the table. He immediately recognizes James and tries to run away. But James catches him and throws him outside. Then he slowly reaches the middle of the hall and looks at everyone and says something. During this, the Special Forces team suddenly enters inside. The very next moment, a rain of bullets begins. But James's speed was astonishing. He escapes from there in a moment. Dozens of soldiers run after him into the corridor. James hides in a corner and waits for the right moment. As soon as the soldiers come close to him, he suddenly attacks. He throws one down. He controls another in a moment and disappears again into the darkness. After this, he quietly presses the fire alarm. The lights in the entire corridor go off. Now there was darkness everywhere. Meanwhile, the captain and his team get very close to him. But James was already prepared. He uses a wire to snag their gun. In panic, the captain fires uncontrollably and his bullets accidentally hit his own men. James takes advantage of the opportunity and defeats them one by one. Several SWAT soldiers also arrive inside the building. But James had also set a trap for them. He quickly runs towards the elevator. The SWAT team also follows him. A soldier enters the elevator and starts firing bullets upwards. In just a few seconds, the elevator roof is pierced. As soon as their bullets run out, James strikes back. He uses explosives and creates chaos throughout the system. Then he returns to the lobby. This time he directly catches the company's manager and starts preparing to extract the truth about Owen from him. After some pressure, the manager finally spills everything. He gives James the information about his real boss. But as soon as James sees that man's photo, he remains completely silent for a few moments. Because the person who had built this entire scam empire was not an ordinary criminal. He was Owen, the son of America's current president. Meanwhile, Ruben's entire team had been defeated. Now Owen had only one place left where he considered himself safe. He hides in his mother's luxurious seaside mansion. This mansion had now become his last refuge. Inside and outside the mansion, armed police personnel were deployed everywhere. Milia, being an FBI agent, was also handling the security responsibility. Ruben also arrives with a new mercenary army. Their leader was a dangerous man with golden hair. It was said that he was the only person who had ever killed a beekeeper. But in that fight, he too had paid a very heavy price. Then a helicopter lands in the mansion's ground and America's president arrives there. Even though her son always did wrong things, for her he was still the most beloved. After all, Owen had invested a lot of money in her electoral journey. Now the entire mansion had turned into a fortress. Hundreds of security personnel were deployed all around. Every vehicle was being strictly checked. Even under the vehicles was being looked at. All sewer covers were also welded shut so that no one could enter. But James had already found a way inside. He comes out of a sewer whose cover was not completely closed. Then he quietly hides under a truck. As soon as the guards get busy checking the truck, James suddenly attacks. Within moments, he knocks the guard unconscious. Then he wears his uniform and comfortably enters the mansion as part of the security team. After entering, he goes to a secluded place and changes clothes. Now he was wearing a suit. After fixing everything, he walks as if he is a special guest there and reaches the party hall directly. But then the golden-haired commander recognizes him. He immediately calls his men. In just a few seconds, James is surrounded from all sides. The commander wanted to finish him right there. But Milia comes in between. She says arrest him alive. The law will decide. But the commander does not listen to a single word of hers because his only mission was one: to finish James forever on Owen's orders. The golden-haired commander insists. He wanted James to be shot right then and there. But the very next moment, the situation completely changes. James once again breaks through the circle and escapes. Meanwhile, Owen and his mother were hiding inside a room. The president receives the news that the man from whom her son was running has now entered the mansion. Outside, chaos had spread everywhere. James moves rapidly towards the inside. Whoever guard comes in front of him, he throws them down in a moment. The most surprising thing was that even in this chaos, he did not harm a single innocent person. He was just moving towards his real target. Finally, James reaches that floor where Owen was hiding. But then the golden-haired commander appears in front of him again. The surprising thing was that he was still alive. He had a bullet wound on his face. But his body was still as strong as a mountain. He starts grabbing James and throwing him repeatedly against walls and corners. Even the surrounding glass walls break. For a while, it seems that James will lose. Then he sees a piece of glass on the ground. Seeing the opportunity, he picks it up and hits it with full force on the commander's face. But even after such a terrible injury, that man keeps fighting. A tremendous hand-to-hand combat begins between the two. Suddenly he stabs a knife into James's stomach. James writhes in pain. Still, he tries to counterattack by taking out his small knife. But in front of the commander's strength, his attack becomes ineffective. Now James's condition had become very bad. Then his eyes fall on the commander's fake leg. He kicks it with full force. From here, the direction of the fight changes. The commander staggers. James does not let this opportunity slip. He starts attacking continuously. No matter how powerful the opponent was, he cannot last long in front of a beekeeper's anger, and finally James finishes him with a powerful punch. Completely injured and drenched in blood, James slowly reaches in front of the last room. Ruben was still standing at the door. He tries to stop James. He says, "You are no longer part of this organization. End this fight here. Do not lose your life." But James looks into his eyes and replies, "This is not a fight for any mission. This is my personal account." Then he says further, "That elderly woman whom these people robbed was the only person who accepted me without asking anything. She gave me love like family and now I will bring justice for her." But Ruben still wanted to stop James. He stands in front of the door and refuses to let him move forward. Now James's patience had run out. He grabs his hand and in one stroke pushes him out of the way. The very next moment, the door opens with a loud blast. Finally, James was standing in front of that person who considered himself very powerful on the phone. At that very moment, Milia also arrives there. She takes out her pistol and points it at James. But James reminds her of her mother. He reminds her how an innocent elderly woman was looted and how she could not bear the pain. Now Owen was completely surrounded. To save his life, he grabs his own mother and points a gun at her head. Now relationships had no value for him. Then bang, a bullet fires and James's aim hits Owen directly. Everything ends in a few seconds. But James knew that now stopping here was dangerous for him. He quickly runs and breaks the glass window and jumps out. Milia runs to the window. She wanted to stop James. But then she slowly lowers her gun because she understood that the justice she could not deliver through the law, James had delivered. Meanwhile, the badly injured James reaches the seashore. He takes out his special equipment hidden earlier and quietly goes underwater. Within moments, he disappears into the dark sea. Like a bee who quietly returns after completing its work. If you liked this entire story, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, and definitely press the bell icon.